prioritizing what it is that you think that you're going to need in the future is potentially where you need to put your focus of your discipline. Welcome to the Created to Be podcast. We are back for another week, and we're doing this again, just me and Justin, for like the second, maybe third time. We've done a few episodes, just the two of us.
Yes, here we go.
We can do this. Immediately, I think, just the two of us. We can make it if we try.
I'll let you sing. That's good. By the great artist, Will Smith.
Oh, is that who that is? See, I'm so ignorant. Okay, but welcome to the podcast. We were thankful Brandy could join us last week, and we are going to try to talk a little bit more soccer during the stretch today. So we'll see how we do without a soccer person at the table today. But being the summer months, we're all kind of all over the place, and so we're trying to do our best to stay up with some content, have some fun conversations, think about some of the things that the athletes are going through right now, and in preparation for the fall. I know volleyball comes here. I think we're recording on a Monday, the 6th, and this will come out on the 7th. And I believe that volleyball gets here this week. So things are starting to ramp up.
I saw a couple in the weight room today.
Yeah. And it's interesting because another strength coach that I saw this morning, she was saying how the way that her season works is the teams that she serves, this is the time where she can take a break in July. But like for you and I, we have had more time like in May and June, but then the athletes are coming back. So, you're kind of looking to get back with like the teams that you worked with. Anyways, it's kind of interesting how in athletics, like everybody kind of has a little bit different schedule with when they can like get that pressure relief because it's always going. So anyway, just interesting to learn that this morning. I'm always interested to learn kind of how people's rhythms and flow goes through the year. I mean, Starkville School District start back too on, I want to say the 21st.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ever going to get used to that.
I know, that's crazy. They already start back. So, I mean, things are about to ramp up again, but excited to see some of the athletes, excited for what's to come. But we'll continue this conversation we had about the offseason. If you didn't get a chance to listen to last week's episode, that's what we talked about. Just some of the things that, in the offseason, some of the mental, more of like your awareness and your engagement with the offseason, how that can be a challenge for some, maybe others embrace it. But we talked about that. And today we're going to get more into like the habits of the offseason. What nobody sees is really what comes out whenever the season comes. So we'll get to that in a minute. But we have been watching, we talked about this on the last episode. We have been getting into the World Cup. I made a joke that Justin sounds like he's in labor when he's watching the World Cup because I will be in the kitchen and I won't I won't know what's going on with the game. And then I'll hear, oh, or, ah. And I've had 3 children and it sounds similar to some of the sounds that I made.
Wow.
But Justin, you're not alone because I posted this to Facebook and I've gotten some comments about it. So,
Wow. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. But what are you making those, generally speaking, what are you responding to?
Well, I mean, it's either there's some sort of development to where there is a one-on-one or a guy heading straight to the goal, like to the goalie without somebody defending, or there's just an opportunity, there's some space available. So you're like, oh, a goal's coming. Something could happen here. And so it's that kind of response, like, oh, man, here we go.
And I think your sound is actually more like, like an A-H, just extended on and on.
Yeah.
Like that's normally...
laboring in competition.
Yeah.
Here.
And then you'll be like, oh, like, and then I'll know, okay, I don't need to come in there and watch the replay.
Yeah.
Something reset. But that's been entertaining. Maybe for me.
Well, I mean, it's in soccer, football, I respect it. I appreciate it. It's not necessarily my kind of sport, but I appreciate the beauty of the game. They talk about soccer being just a beautiful game and all that, and I do get that. I see those points. Sometimes it takes a while for it to develop, and here it's coming from a baseball guy, and they're like, oh, that game's so slow. And I'm like, I get it. There's appreciation for both. I do enjoy the World Cup. I enjoy, Cape Verde, was amazing. Against Argentina the other night. The DRC had a great game as well, a match. And so like there's been some amazing like small countries that have really just been incredible against the bigger ones. And and then the stars are really in this one. Like they are doing
the guy
what
from
they're supposed to do.
Norway yesterday.
Yeah, Haaland, Mbappe, of course, Messi, and then Harry Kane as well. So like these are the best of the best, and they're at the top of the goal scorers. They're in the mix. They're creating.
Our kids have a bracket on the wall, and they've been keeping up with. Do they call it the Golden Boot?
Yes.
Like that's an award at the end of the World Cup?
It is. If you score the most goals in the World Cup, you get the Golden Boot.
Yeah. So they also have that little ticker going. And so Abby keeps changing those according to the, who's scoring the goals and stuff. So we're trying in the Pyatt house.
It's been an incredible World Cup. And then, we've got if you listen to this, it'll be later, but we just had Balogun who got cleared to play for us tonight. So we'll see how it goes.
Which I was going to choose that for the stretch topic today. I changed it, but I was thinking about talking about red cards because to those who really don't watch soccer, the red card situation can be very frustrating as a viewer if you don't really know what's going on. Kind of like when you're introduced to offsides for the first time. Actually, I've learned more about offsides because I thought it was just like one particular, like there's just like multiple ways that offside can happen. I didn't know that until watching this World Cup. Like that's been crazy. But I think we'll save the red card conversation when Brandy can be back or if Darius is at the table because I want to see his response.
He'll be like, what's is there other color cards?
So, why are they just yellow and
red? He may know more than we think. So, Darius, sorry if I'm throwing you under the bus and you're not here.
Yeah. So, I want to table that discussion because the red card thing, I remember that happening to one of our players during the SEC tournament for women's soccer and me being like, what? And about kind of the implications of the red card. So, I'm going to that's a little tease for that. But the stretch today is actually, I have a friend from Austin, Texas, who she does really funny commentary during the Olympics. And she is continuing that ability she has by commenting on the World Cup. And so I haven't read through all of her commentary just yet.
Is this Rama?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
But she included a link that was and I'll include it in the show notes in this, that talked about theories for these penalty kicks. Like one thing I didn't know you could do during penalty kick. So that's the stretch topic is about these theories, how people study to be prepared for penalty kicks. And so anyway, if you want to listen to that podcast, like I said, I'll link it, but that's what the podcast is. I mean, that's what that particular podcast is about. But the penalty kicks situation for the World Cup, it kind of caught my attention. I didn't know you could do all this stutter step stuff.
Yeah. You just have to continue to move. I think you can't just stop.
But some of them look like they stop.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Well, I think you can't fake kick and then kick. Like you have to, if you're moving to kick, you have to kick it.
And then yesterday I noticed that they were kind of taunting each other, talking trash.
That's Neymar.
But I was like, what is going on? Just kick the ball.
Neymar's going to talk to everybody.
Yeah, it was crazy. But okay, in this podcast, they talk about the theories of, how they might apply these theories to that situation in particular. Because how do you prepare for, okay, you were a pitcher. So how did you prepare for the hitters you were going to face?
I mean, your coach did kind of a scouting report. We didn't have a ton of film like they have now. But if you go in the meetings today, they will have film and they'll watch hitters and swing paths and what they need to do. But the coach has gone ahead of them, watched a lot of film, and knows and they have tech to know the hot zones, cold zones, and what you're trying to get a hitter to and where you want to pitch them. And so they have a plan. And so the pitching coach will be calling pitches towards that plan.
So this theory is called game theory, and it's the study of how people make decisions when someone else is also making a decision that affect the outcome. So I think baseball is kind of a good example, but at the same time, you can't really, as a pitcher, you're going to have certain pitches you know how to throw. You can locate them in different spots, but you can't just I don't feel like, I think that this penalty kick situation is really interesting because I do think that it can seem like you could get to a place of more choices of what you do, then even in baseball, it seems still a little bit set. Like, I think that you do have two people going to, you know, they both have their strategy. Like, the hitter's going to have their strategy against the pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have a decision to make about what you're going to throw the hitter. So there is a little bit of the same face-off that a penalty kick is going to provide, right? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this game theory is you have two people and they're both making decisions. So how does each person strategize to play this situation out?
Yeah. Well, you look at patterns. All right. That's one of those.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's certain guys that will kick a certain side that they feel more comfortable with. And so those goalkeepers know those patterns before they get up there. They know the people that are going to be taking the PKs. And so do you play that pattern or not? Same thing with hitters on the baseball side. There's patterns. There's pitch patterns. The pitchers have patterns that they get to throw and try to get to. And so you have to mix that up as well. And so, yeah, that's one of them.
But do you play to your strength of your pattern, or do you play, even if it's not your strength, but it's the weakness of the hitter? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it depends on the moment, depends on what you're comfortable with, depends on how good your stuff is that day.
Yeah.
And if that pitch, you know, if your breaking ball is breaking like it needs to and it's good today, then you're going to go with that best pitch. Sometimes you might have to make an adjustment if you can't find it.
Right. So the key idea of this theory is that my best choice depends on what I think you will choose.
Mm.
So you could have a strength to kick to the upper right or something.
Mm-hmm.
But if you think that goalie is going to know that's where you're going to kick, then, okay, I'm going to choose the lower left or whatever.
Mm-hmm. But also they study tendencies. So they can study footwork, hips, as they're going into kick. And you can kind of have a tell. There's some tells. Same thing with hitters and pitchers.
Yeah.
All right. Pitchers give away something. They're like, oh, man, he's coming with the changeup because I can tell based on what he's doing with his glove or how it's coming out of his hand a little bit beforehand. I could see it.
Pitchers try to hide that, though, huh?
They do. They're not supposed to give that away, but tipping pitches happens, and pitchers don't know that it happens. And then, man, when you see 4 or 5 guys smoke a ball straight, like it's kind of like a obvious, like, okay, something's happening here, because you normally just can't, line up a dude like that and just hit line drives everywhere and immediately, so.
Well,
tipping happens.
Well, okay. So I intentionally told Justin, like, I'm not going to tell him what the show's about today, so that I could get his answers, and that is in my notes here about like studying the movement or the position. What you just said.
You want to watch a lot of film and see if you can find. Okay, I know Messi's going to go left if he does this.
Yeah. So that the pattern. So this next theory is called mixed strategy theory, and it's means you randomize your choices so that your opponent cannot predict you. So instead of always left, always right, you might go left 70% of the time, right 30% of the time, but the pattern must appear random.
Mm-hmm.
Does that apply to baseball or not?
I mean, I would, just on the way I used to pitch, majority of the time I'd be staying on the outer half, the outer third of the plate, and just hammer that outside corner until they make an adjustment. I would show inside enough to get them off of it, to show them a different look, but I was not going inside a lot at all until they made an adjustment, and then I would do that.
So apparently elite soccer players are unusually good at producing unpredictable patterns under pressure. Like, normally people can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it would be hard.
But these are also the pros.
Well, right. They practice for this. But I'm just saying, like, I do think that the added pressure of the moment, because goals are so scarce, and you're against other elite opponents, plus these stadiums are full. I mean, that's like ultimate pressure, that I think that if you knew your strength is to go right, but that's predictable, I really should go left right here. I just think it'd still be hard to choose because of the moment. Like, you would want, like, I think that's an ultimate, like, that is a discomfort to have to, like, press into. I mean, you practice it. I'm not trying to say that they're, but like. But
then there's that thing of like, okay, if I just locate it well,
right,
even if he goes left and I go left, I can still get the goal. But then there's that, oh man, I got to be spot on.
Yeah.
And then there's the speed in which you hit it, and then sometimes people hit it right up the middle.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, well,
It's not just left or right. It could be soft right in the middle, and the guy's just falling down and going, shoot, I can't stop it.
yeah. So there is the behavioral psychology, which you talked about. And, that the idea is that humans think they're random, but they usually aren't. So after choosing left several times, people feel like they should choose right. So a good example of this is everybody knows the game rock, paper, scissors.
Mm-hmm.
If you've gone rock 3 times in a row, you just feel like you should go paper, like not keep going on rock, right? So opponents can exploit those kinds of patterns. And then that's why they study body language, past decisions, stress reaction, timing, all that stuff. So anyway, I just thought those were really interesting, like that these penalty kicks, some of the games, like in that next round, several of the games went into 2 extra periods of time and then penalty kicks. So we've actually got to see quite a bit of that. And I try to guess, like I think I was like 5 for 10 or something of just guess. I would just guess where the player was going to locate it based on nothing. Like I just was like, I don't know, up or left this time, whatever. And so I was already interested in like, how do they make that decision? Like, because they still, like you said, they have to locate it. But anyway, any other thoughts on that?
No.
Anything you've observed?
No, there's just always a mental side to every sport. And so there's a space there, probably just the mental execution that has to take place. That's probably unique as well, that I would never know because I'm not a soccer player.
Right. But I think that because, us talking about baseball, I mean, both of the moments are slower moments, like in a basketball game, or, I mean, it's just like there's not many face-off moments where nobody else is moving. Mm-hmm. It's just these 2 people. I mean, we're not including the catcher. I mean, helps with the strategy in the moment with baseball, but you have movement between 2 people thinking, what is this other person going to do? And then you have to make a decision. Mm-hmm. Both people do.
That's interesting.
So it's just like a really...
There's no slow moments in basketball.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, you could have the tendency of a player to go right, but it's not this nothing's moving and then like this moment where everything moves, and you're having to make this decision. I don't know. It's just a really unique situation that I just am like, it's so pressure packed. Would you want to be one of those 5 people in PKs to take the shot?
As a non-soccer player, no.
If you were good at the sport, if you were an elite player.
100%.
Yeah, I also think that's unique too. They've got a whole roster, which I don't know. I guess they have to pick out of the people on the field. I don't know if they can.
Yes, they have to pick out of the people on the field. So I've actually saw, and that's a new one because I don't keep up with this, but they made a late substitution. One team made a late substitution that a guy was going to be in PKs. It was like in the 119th minute or something at the end of extra time. They put a guy in, and he actually was put in for PKs and ended up missing his PK.
Oh, man. Mm-hmm. But I think even this is like a really silly comment probably, but like in basketball, the most still moment is a free throw. You want good free throw shooters. But the thing is, the basket's not making a decision. Yeah. That's the uniqueness of these scenarios.
That thing ain't moving.
It's going to be there. So you have the unique thing of like form, execution, all of that, but then you have an opponent that's also doing the same thing. So it's very, like, you just don't see that in many sports. But I do think it takes a unique athlete to say, I want to be one of the ones that's in that, because it's so high pressure and the stakes are so high. What was the game where it's like, oh, I wish I could remember. It's like I can see the jerseys, but it was like the team came back in the end of the PKs and tied it up, and then they went into another round, and then it goes into sudden death basically, and they came back and won. They had like a light colored grayish jersey and maybe red on I think they're already out. But anyways, it was just like they did not have the momentum, and then either their goalie blocked one, and so they tied it back up. Anyways, it was really interesting just to watch how you can feel the momentum shift too. Like when somebody makes a few in a row, and then you're like, oh man, this team, there's no way. And then, but just every situation is so high stakes.
Yeah.
It's just really interesting.
Yeah. I think that was the Netherlands match.
Maybe.
I think.
I don't know. It was several games ago. I don't know. But anyways, okay. So maybe you'll notice some things as you watch. If you're getting into the World Cup, I mean, tonight the U.S. plays, so by the time this comes out, we'll already know if we're moving on or not. But it has been really interesting.
Most televised soccer match in U.S. history.
I was thinking, even if the U.S. doesn't continue to go, I just feel like it's probably because it's hosted in the United States this year that, like, I feel like this could be the most televised sporting event when it gets to the championship.
By the way, I saw a post today about this red card thing. Are we talking about this?
No, but you can mention it
later.
We'll bring it back. Yeah,
we'll bring it back. I'll talk about the post.
Oh, now I'm curious though.
Well, it talks about the differences between how Europe reacts to something like this and how America reacts to something like this, or the U.S. Okay, and it's just the way we approach things. Okay, we see a call go against us with the red card, and we go, that shouldn't have been a red card. And so this gets overturned, and we're like, great, that was unjust. Yeah. Now it's just, we're good. On the other end, Europe responds from a different standpoint of like, the integrity, the call happened, it's just life, whatever it may be, and it's the game and whatever that side. And it's like, that's just what it is. And it's this perspective of the U.S., the customer is always right. Mm-hmm. And in Europe, the customer is not always right. Two different perspectives.
Mindsets.
And for us, we were like, hey, yeah, that's right. This is fair. Now we're full strength. Now let's play. This is what's supposed to happen.
Right.
The customer is right. We were wronged. Now it's fair. Let's play.
Yeah.
On the other side, Europe's just like, this is life. And it's kind of more of a negative perspective of like, this is just the way it is.
Right.
And
it says a lot.
It's interesting. It was a way better post than what I'm saying, but it was like, this is the issue at hand.
I will say, I
do hate that Belgium only has 24 hours to prepare for Balogun to be in. And so that is frustrating why they waited 3 days to make a decision.
Oh, wow.
That's a problem. That's not fair to Belgium. I think it's right that he gets to play.
Well, Brandy was telling me this morning that the reason is because, and you might know more of this than me, but she was saying like how there wasn't a call on the field. Mm-hmm. So when there's
they did slow-mo on the VAR, which they're not supposed to do for a red card challenge.
Like for still images and all this, how they went about the review of it was not according to the rules to be able to make that call.
Yes.
And then he didn't blow the whistle on the field. So like last night when England played, I believe the ref blew a whistle on the field when their guy went cleat up, and he like slid into someone with his cleat up. Like it was a much clear example of what the red card is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And he called it, reviewed it, came back with the red card. Like, so, I mean, there's all these like nuances.
Well, it's kind of like a courtroom case. You know, if you come across that evidence in not the right way, for instance, it broke the rules of doing it in slow-mo.
Right.
So that evidence gets tossed.
Yeah.
So therefore,
Yeah. So I could see where, here in the U.S.
it shouldn't have taken 3 days.
Right.
So now if we win.
Right. Well.
It's like people were saying it's going to be an asterisk or whatever. And it's like, man,
no.
Play the game, people.
Yeah.
Just play.
Yeah.
Belgium, beat us if you're better than us.
Yeah. Well, maybe you'll, I'm sure there's people listening that have way more insight into soccer, but it's been fun to just watch and see what happens, and also get into the game and see what the rest of the world gets super excited about their countries and everything, and how, I mean, everybody has like a different style too, and a little different flair.
And we're all extremely biased.
Just
call it what it is.
Yeah. Okay. So as we transition into this topic, we talked about offseason and just about how just the patterns of that and what it is that makes sometimes offseason hard, because, it's the things that people don't see. So specifically like habits that no one sees are eventually what everyone notices. And one thing that I have thought about as I've just observed sports and been in practices and just watched seasons play out is really what matters towards the end is you just find out who's really more disciplined. I mean, when it comes down to postseason play, who can, or even in SEC is a gauntlet for every sport. And so it's like, who can remain disciplined in their habits that they have formed, in their cohesion as a team, as their, often you'll hear the commentators talk about like, well, this was their game plan for today. They stayed true to their game plan, or maybe that'll be in a post-game interview, whatever. and who can stay as close to that and disciplined to that as possible is what it seems to be the people that, go the furthest. But that idea is, you got to form those things in the off season when nobody's watching, when there is no audience to cheer you on for, hitting that last rep. Or, I know that you and I talked about when we played, my teammates might have gotten irritated with me because I was not the slowest one in the weight room. I was just the last one to finish. And this is not to throw any of my teammates under the bus, but I did every rep. And so that's why I was the last one to finish, is because people skipped reps. And I don't know how it is these days. I don't know if they have an intern there counting, making sure people are doing their stuff. But that really mattered a lot to me, that I finished every single rep. I don't know what that was in me that had to do, because I knew awkwardly they'd all be standing waiting for me to finish. But I was just like, I got to do it all. It bothered me. It bothered you too. Oh,
100%. 100%. Do your job. Do the rep. Don't cheat your team.
Yeah. And one thing, this kind of goes into
and don't cheat yourself.
Yeah. Family and parenting, and that I was with some friends yesterday, and we just, one of the things I guess I've observed in multiple places is there's so much that's individual that we can choose now, that it's very, very hard to see how my willingness or unwillingness to keep a standard personally, my own discipline, impacts the whole thing. If I skip this one thing, it's very hard. I feel in this day and age, it's very hard to see how that one little thing can impact the whole group, And I don't know if there was a time frame that we actually could, in our brains actually understood that as a society, but contribution is a big thing for me. Even in our own home, it's, if somebody leaves something out on a table, instead of at least moving it to the sink, more stars if you move it to the dishwasher, but it's somebody is going to have to come along and pick that up and put it there. So, but it's
the teaching of you win as a team and you lose as a team. And it's a family building piece of you don't touch that line and everybody else does.
Right.
And it's not dealt with. Then it just opens the door for when hard things happen, somebody's going to fizzle out.
Right.
You're not going to stick with it because you bailed on us before. You didn't touch that line before.
And the coaches know, because they've been through these seasons. They know, okay, immediately basketball in South Carolina popped in my head. They know that game is on the calendar. And you might have played really hard teams. You might have even been on this team and played that team. I'm talking about women's basketball because that's just where my brain goes. But it's the coach knows how you're going to have to play every single quarter as hard as you possibly can. And you might not have vision to see that. Or maybe there's a self-perception of you might have thought that you've done something that hard, right? So that's where trust comes in too, and allowing other people to push you when you just don't want to do it, or you don't think it's necessary, because I've done that before. Well, maybe you haven't, And so I think there's multiple things that make those habits really hard in the off season. But how important they are and how they will show up later.
Oh, yeah. Building character is not something that we're just oh, yeah, it's great. It's hard. It's very hard.
Yeah. So the big idea or big thought is that people notice success, we obviously can see, but we rarely notice the habits that it took to create that. My sister sent me a message the other day about yes, there are people that are really good at things, maybe child prodigies or whatever, but they still at some point had to work at what they're doing. I think that can be something, even we're trying to teach our kids, when they observe other kids around their age that are really good at something, I'm they didn't just hop on that piano yesterday. Even if they're not working super hard, maybe it's just 30 minutes a day, but it's they're actually putting some kind of investment there. That's why they can. And I'm how do I teach this lesson? How do I get this through? Because there are always habits that create this other thing. And hopefully whatever the habits are things that you enjoy. That would be ideal.
Yeah.
You're getting to do the things that you love to do, and then it produces success, right? It's not always hard, I got to grind this out. I would hope habits people get to build are things that are enjoyable. But sometimes we have to do things we don't want to do.
Yeah. And then as you do those things that you don't want to do, you actually start to love them, which is weird. I did not like the weight room.
Yeah.
When I got here, I grew to love the weight room because I had coaches that loved the weight room.
Mm-hmm.
And they showed me a different route. And I saw what it was doing to me and how it helped me. And so I grew to love the weight room. But I didn't like it initially, And there's just things. I wasn't the fondest of doing different running styles and different things to get ready. But I saw what it produced later on. When I was late on the mound, second winds would happen, and I'm pitching great at the end of a game because I got legs under me.
Yeah.
And where did that come from? The running,
right?
The weights, the pushing sleds and stuff that you hated to do.
Yeah.
But it came from those mental challenges that you had to put yourself through.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's 100% worth it because I want to have it in the 8th inning. I want to have it in the 9th inning.
In front of 14,000 fans.
In front of 14,000 people. I don't want to be gassed. I want to have my best stuff at the biggest moments.
Yeah, man. And then also repeating the basics.
Mm-hmm.
How do you stay? I think that takes some creativity, like to keep something that's basic enjoyable. You know what I'm saying? Did you ever notice, because I feel like pitching obviously is very technical.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd have to repeat a lot of, that's, I guess my point too, again, is that especially to be really, really good at something, you have to be disciplined. And what I'm trying to say is doing the same thing over and over, almost like the same way, get as close to the same way every single time so that every time it's executed. That takes a lot of discipline to do that.
It does. And I'm taking it to pitching for me because that's what I did. And I wasn't a flashy strikeout guy. Mm-hmm. I could get it when I needed it at times, but I was a pitch to contact guy. There is nothing sexy and exciting about pitching to contact. You're getting early outs and you're hopefully off the mound in 8 to 12 pitches. It's great from that standpoint, but it is not like, oh man, he just struck out the side. That's awesome. And he made these guys look ridiculous. And so when you pitch to contact, you're focusing on putting the ball in certain zones consistently every single time to get that kind of contact that you want. And so it's not exciting at all.
Did your practice plan look similar every day as far as like the pitching side? Like what are the things that you had to repeat over and over and over that was like just basic things?
Yeah, just locating the ball down and away, down and away, down and away. And I would focus on throwing it the other side as well. You got to throw both sides of the plate. Mm-hmm. And then pitchers, you got a left-hander and a right-hander, so you have to flip it. But to be able to locate the ball where you want to locate it is not, it takes a lot of practice.
Well, I know our son Eli will dabble in basketball. And when I've tried to teach him some stuff, I'm like, the first thing that you should do when you get out here is get like a foot away, not even a foot away probably from the goal, and just have the ball in your shooting hand and just form shooting is what it's called. Mm-hmm. And the goal would be to get from each side of the basket and then in front of the basket 10 in a row, not hitting the rim. And then you can back up a step. And like, it's like, that's not super flashy either.
No, I could not see, and I didn't play basketball long enough because I couldn't do that. That kind of stuff bothered me.
Okay.
I don't want to sit here and do the same little boring shot, but it worked for me on the baseball side.
Yeah.
Doing the arm care, doing that exercise, whatever, to feel my body a certain way, to know I can do that. Yeah.
But when I step into women's basketball practice or men's basketball practice, well, I don't go in there very much, but, like, what are they doing? Form shooting at Division I SEC. They are right there by the goal. Form shooting, because that is like the most basic thing you can do to warm up your shot.
Yeah.
But it's not the fun, like, dribble drive. It's not the fun 3-point shot, but you got to do that over and over and over. And you can see at this level, they're still doing that.
And my basketball form is trash, but I can still pitch. I can still locate a ball because my form is still good.
Yeah. I mentioned discipline and people that are really good at stuff. Obviously, you don't become disciplined overnight. You do this one decision at a time. That's why, I would say that I've loosened up quite a bit, but it is things. I use our house as an example because that's every day, like just repeated things. But just this past weekend, I was like, everybody chipped in so that we could clean the whole house. And I think we did it under 2 hours, which was like tidy up, which is one thing. For ladies listening, they might know no offense, guys, but tidying up and cleaning are two different things. You know, you got to pick up everything, which does make it look better, but then like actually get the cleaning supplies out and like clean stuff, dust, vacuum, whatever. And so we did both. And I think it was under 2 hours, which was pretty good.
Yeah, it was good.
But in my head though, I would love for our kids to understand if you just picked up every night, then we only have to clean for maybe an hour and we're done. Like it's that just shift of like, if I just do a little bit every day, then it doesn't all pile up and then I have to like deal with it all at once. And I fail to do that in every area. I don't know that I could do a little bit every day in every bucket. You know,
we were a lot better at that in college, I think.
Yeah, well, when you have more things that you're juggling, it does make it hard. But the idea that it's one decision at a time.
Yeah.
Like that's what helps you become disciplined is, you know, I mean, I feel like our schedules get off, but I'm a better person if I can move a little bit in the morning. It doesn't even have to be a ton, but it's like just do some kind of stretching, some kind of exercises, something. And that's a decision I have to make, or like to make the bed. Those are two things I did this morning. That's why I'm giving those examples.
I noticed that.
But I noticed means, see, I don't do that every day. And so I got to work on that. So anyways, and then little habits compound. So we talk about compound interest. That is not what this episode's about. You do not want me giving you any kind of advice on any of that, but it's, you know, like life on these decisions over days, weeks, years. You know, there's been decisions that we've made over our life that it's like, I mean, I feel like I keep going back to parenting, but like parenting's hard because you have this vision of what you hope your kids can become and what, but it's really this idea of all this stuff is not in its full form yet, but it is compounding every day, you know? So we do get to see flashes of that when our kids, you know, you invest all this time and energy into their character or whatever, and you see it play out and you're like, oh, great. I'm glad, because sometimes it can be rough at home, but it's rewarding in that sense. But I mean, I'm sure that there's other areas too where it's just like those things, you're thankful for all the little decisions you made along the way. You know, even though you still mess up or you're not perfect at it, it's just like, oh, I'm so glad we did make those decisions though when we did.
Yeah, holding a standard and them still liking you is a win for sure.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to communicate with them. Like I was just even a time talking to one of our kids yesterday, and he felt like I was getting on to him a lot. And I said, well, buddy, I said, we've got somewhere to be at a certain time, and you're not moving. And so when you're not moving, I have to remind you of how you need to move to get ready. And you did that multiple times. So therefore, you heard from me multiple times. And that's why it sounds like I'm on you. I'm not mad at you, but you're just not moving.
Yeah. I'm going to need you to move.
Yep. You need to get on your stuff.
Yeah.
And we were late and whatever, and we moved on, but it was a teachable moment. Mm-hmm. That's what it is.
Yeah, but it's that idea of you're like stacking days or stacking weeks, stacking years.
But I've learned I have to revisit those things to make sure we're on the same page from it. Yeah. Otherwise, some things kind of carry over, and it's like, well, Dad's always mad at me, and I'm like, no.
Which is a good example of how it can be negative. You can be compounding in a negative way.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
And so I think that's why even my maybe silly example about the bed or like getting up to move is like you can always restart and like start trending in the direction of like getting some discipline back. And I think that that's something that is a very hard thing. Maddie Farmer, several episodes ago, she, you know, had played softball here. Softball had been her life. And I think that this was a challenge for me personally, but through every major life transition, I think that is the hardest thing. If you did have discipline at a certain point or in a certain area of your life, and you feel like your head is clear, you feel rhythm, you feel momentum in your life, and then some kind of life event happens. Mm-hmm. You graduate, you move, you get married, you have a kid, there's a death in the family. Like there's just so many things that can interrupt some kind of rhythm we have. I think that, or health crisis, something, I think that is the hardest to get going again, because you feel like, oh, everything's lost. But it's kind of like muscle memory. I think that's what's so unique about athletics, is that no matter at what age you've plugged into athletics in some way, shape, or form, it's going to teach you some kind of like discipline. You got to show up. You got to work hard, and some of us get those lessons deeper or further than others, depending on our engagement. But it is a place where it teaches you that. So I'm thankful for that but you can sometimes feel like you're failing because you're like, well, at one point I was doing all those things and I just like can't do it again. But you can always like reset. It's kind of your muscle memory to those things, that if you didn't have athletics, I'm not saying you can't learn those lessons. It's just hard to think of another space that just kind of naturally teaches you where to show up. But I think any kind of team type function type thing, if you get involved in those things when you're younger, hopefully that'll kick back in when you're older, kind of like muscle memory does.
Yeah. I think as a former athlete, there's a love-hate relationship with discipline of like, you remember going through it and you remember how that structure was so beneficial to you and the shape that you were in. But then you also like know how hard it was in regards to like just what it did on your body as well. But then you get out of it, and then you enter a new season of marriage or parenting in the mix of all that. And then I think in some ways, and then, you miss the sport, but then you're like, oh, God, to be that disciplined again would be so great. Yeah. And then we're always kind of like rubbing up against that, I feel like, in the days ahead and the new seasons of life. We're like, all right, discipline, this is how we're going to do it. And then it's like, and then we're like back and forth.
Well, I remember a season where you felt, this was post-college, that you felt super disciplined physically. That's when we were in Dallas and you trained for for the marathon, and you were also working at Home Depot
and doing CrossFit.
You were like,
I was fit.
You're like, I feel great. And this is also not to at all throw Justin under the bus, but he also, like, I was pregnant at the time and I wasn't working, but the kids were in a school where they went to school 2 days a week and then they were home the other 3 days. And he did a good job managing this, but there was times where it was like you were doing those things. My point in saying all of this is that you were disciplined in that area, but that it's hard to juggle everything because there was also time that you could have been with us. I don't know that you needed to be, but that those things took up.
Yeah.
And so I always kind of, it's like, it's really hard to be that way about every single area of your life. Like anytime, I think that Instagram or social media can give us this impression, if we're just looking, like we see these outward pictures of people's lives, just the pictures. And I've learned to say to myself, like, that's awesome that they can cook that clean for their family every week. But my guess is that not every area is that squeaky tidy. And maybe people are. And I just need to learn more habits or something. But it's helped me not put so much pressure on myself, because I do think that there's ebbs and flows with what we can be disciplined on, because we'll compromise in other areas for the sake of discipline over here. And I think that's probably the biggest challenge having a family, is like taking care of yourself, want to take care of your family, but not compromising the things they need so that I can make sure that my ducks are in a row over here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. And this is funny. I got asked to speak at the father-son camp last year for baseball. And I remember listening to the radio, I think some point that week. It was AFR, American Family Radio, or K-Love, one of them. I don't know. And, they have fun little stories here and there. But one of them was like, I think this was AFR. And they were like, as parents, we're trying to get everything right. You're trying to set your kids up, all those things. And based on a study, I don't know what the study was, but it was like, if you just get 30% right as a parent, your kids are going to turn out fine. Hey. And I was like, all right. Yeah. Man, that's the message. I mean, it was one thing I shared amongst many things with the father-son camp. But that was kind of a breath of fresh air. Now, it could have been an awful study. I don't know. But 30% right. Right. Okay, that's hard for the disciplined mind to be like, a coach. You imagine my baseball coach Polk being like, we're just going to get this 30% right. 30%. Yeah, he would not have a statue up right now.
Right. Yeah, I think that prioritizing what it is that you think that you're going to need in the future is potentially where you need to put your focus of your discipline, I'm bringing my sister up a lot in this episode, but like she was saying she wants to increase her capacity to handle stress because of the type of work she does. And so it makes sense listening to her talk about that her work is not physically stressful. She sits at a desk, but it's very high professional level, like high stakes type work. And so she needs to be able to be mentally fit and, just to handle that amount of stress and then handle her, like how her employees and all that stuff. So she is looking at how do I learn to challenge myself physically to have endurance so that my stress capacity can increase so that at work, certain things, like I can have that level to handle that level of stress. So it makes sense to me why she wants to invest in discipline there, because it's like she's wanting to produce this over here. Kind of like you were talking about, the weight room produced for you that extra second wind on the mound. Mm-hmm. And so I think that makes a little bit more sense in deciding where does that effort go. Because I don't know, it was maybe some kind of social media post about millennials, and it was like, we got to be able to do this. I mean, it was an insane list of things, make clean meals for our family, work out this much times a day, be excellent at our jobs, like emotionally available for our kids. Like, I mean,
saving this amount of money,
all the things, and so it can become very overwhelming because, like I said, I just don't know that it's humanly possible to be that disciplined about every little thing. And so, yeah, it's, I think it ebbs and flows based on your life and what season you're in. And so I'd be interested to see if people have comments on this. Feel free to chime in. But as far as like spiritually speaking, all of these things I think apply the same way. Like there's been, again, I'm referencing Maddie Farmer, if you want to go back and listen to that episode, because she gave a really good, like what that feel is when you transition from college and so many things operating in and around your sport, even your spiritual life, flowing through that, and how you engage with the Lord based on what you're physically going. I mean, it makes sense, like, because that is the world that you're living in and engaging with, and you're facing fears and you're facing pressure. And so you got to find some kind of way to walk through that. But then those things change because you're not in an environment with fans and pressure and all that all the time. But now you're in a marriage, and now you're in work environment that's new or different, or doing school or whatever. And so I don't know. She did such a good job. I'm not going to try to rehash all of that. But I mean, the same types of things, like we're building habits in that space too. Like, do we have the ability to quiet ourselves? And making that one habit to quiet ourselves, or to learn how to pray, or to engage with scripture or whatever. Those things also compound over the years of just making those decisions. And I think sometimes I know I would feel guilty, like if I didn't do certain practices every single day. But what I found was the consistency of just doing, like just showing up, just engaging in these things. That, like, again, sometimes it looked like prayer more in a season. Sometimes it looked more like Bible study. Sometimes it looked more like just getting quiet, but just staying consistent. And that's one thing that we noticed about the students with FCA this past year, just kind of repeated over and over, was I'm going to make showing up to FCA a priority. Now, like, who knows between Mondays what was going on habit wise, but like, let's just say they just did that one thing. I would think that some of them would say like that made a dramatic impact. And that's, I guess what I'm saying is like, not everything has to be we don't have to be like professional, like elite in every aspect of our lives. Like, I don't have to be an elite nutritionist to be able to provide somewhat good meals for my family, and I think that's where the pressure is like, because we know how high people can perform, and especially we have social media to like inform us of that because we're seeing it all the time. You think that's the level that you have to live at, and it's like, there's no way I can do that in every column of my life. And so we can feel that way spiritually too. You can be like, well, this person prays and fasts, X amount of days a year, so I must have to do that if I'm going to be close to the Lord. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, discipline can look like you're just continuing to do the healthy things every week. Yeah. That's good. You have anything to add to that? No, that's good. You remember at all feeling any of that type of pressure? Oh, definitely. I mean, there is a standard that especially if you're playing at a high level in athletics, and there's a standard that you feel like you have to meet. And so that you take that, it's easy to take that
well, I was at this standard for this, so now I need to be at this standard for this and this. And then you're like, whoa.
It's really demotivating. I think it takes...
Dude, I did not want to get in the weight room after a while.
Right.
Because I'm like, I've done this for so long. I need
It's
a break.
hard. It's hard when you know what level you could go to.
Mm-hmm.
And then doing something like I'm just doing right now, stretching and like push-ups, things like this that are easy. Just
Body weight.
Yeah, to get back into some kind of place where I could lift weights. But I've done a lot more than that. And even running, I'm like, if I could just get a mile in. And I've done marathons. I've run a lot. And so I think it is hard to like pare down when you have that level that you've been able to execute before in the past. And so yeah, I think the discipline can look different. Like I have to be okay with like, if I can do 15 minutes of discipline in this area, that hopefully will then get me to, that's kind of my future things. Like that's going to get me back to where I could go into a weight room, but I can't right now. Like I'm honest enough with myself to know that. Mm-hmm. Or like if I can continue to run just this, then hopefully I can run another half. And if I can't, I'll have to pare down on that too, just based on how my body is. But that I think it is, if we can't get back to a certain level that we know we were capable of at one point in time, I think that can be demotivating where you just don't do it at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the same can be spiritually too. Like if we felt close to the Lord. And I think that keeps us from transitioning into new seasons of something new and different. Because the Bible does say that like he's always doing something new. And so if you're like, well, I got to get back to what I used to do before, you'll miss what's ahead. Yeah. Because you're clinging on to like a former discipline. So there's a lot of movement.
I mean, I'm now 4 years removed from that, 4+ years removed from that marathon.
Yeah.
Since Ben.
Yeah.
You know, and hadn't done much since.
What would you say are habits, though, that obviously I don't think it's possible to be. Now, again, I could be totally proven wrong, but I don't think it's possible to be elite in every single category of your life, in every season of your life. But I'm here to, somebody can prove me wrong if that's the case. But what do you think are small things that are, like, I'll just say doing the little things well, that do translate into every season? Maybe it's not always the amount, but it is some kind of habit that you can take into every season. Like finishing, I think, things is a big deal. Mm-hmm. Not doing things halfway. Even if it's over several days, but like you finish. You don't just like leave projects open all the time. Mm-hmm. I think that's a good habit that translates into any season of life.
I wish I did that with some of the honeydew list things that I have at the house. But
I got some of those on my mind.
Oh, you always have them on your mind.
I walked into our small shed that needs a new roof, and I noticed another patch of like rot that I didn't know was in there. You probably know because you go in there.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Anyway, I was like,
brutal.
oh, great.
It's brutal. No, but like
that's
habits.
Not fair to you, though.
Well, there's actually an article. There's a study. Here we go. I talked about the significance of making your bed every day.
Mm.
And
so you
what
thought
that
of me
does.
this morning after you saw
I
it?
did. I did.
You thought she must have read that article.
No, man. But there is a study of doing something small like that in the order of it. And you're like, well, in the military, there's standards and all those things. And you're like, there is actually something to that. Yeah. If you start your day making your bed, it's like, man, I just completed something.
Right.
And it kind of gets you going.
I'll let you make it tomorrow so you can have that satisfaction.
I know. I could probably use that. I did take the dog on a walk this morning, which is a step forward, of movement. And also our kids slept in a long time, so we had a lot of morning time.
Maybe that's the key is we have to get up and get stuff moving, and then because we're anticipating interruption, at least I am.
Yeah.
That's why it's hard to get started sometimes.
Yeah, our little alarm clock Benjamin wakes up at 7 and jumps in the bed with us, and we're like, oh, here we go. So doing like one small thing first thing in the morning, finishing thing, doing small things. Well, I think listening is a lost art, but I think habits like listening, responding, I don't know what that would be in a habit form, but that would be something that is a good habit that will, that can be translated in multiple things. Mm-hmm. Listening well, responding the first time to things, not having to be told the same thing over and over, doing something the first time you think about it,
not, like that's really hard for me sometimes is I'll think about something. I mean, I've had someone on my mind to text for like 3 days and I've not done it yet. So
I texted them this morning. I did it.
Yeah.
Took me 3 days.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess that's the follow through thing is like, it kind of goes in that finishing category, just get started. Like, I think that's another habit of having that kind of mindset or attitude. I can be overwhelmed by the bigness of how something feels. And instead of just being like, you don't have to chart out exactly how that's all going to come out. Just do the first step. Like, that might be my habit would be like, just do the first step. Mm-hmm. Don't worry about all the other things that's going to have to be required to get there.
Yeah.
Anything else come to mind?
I was thinking about the movie that we just watched, and you've been using this phrase recently. Enola Holmes 3. We enjoy those, and but it refers back to a statement in the second one where Sherlock would tell Enola, "You're emotional, and that's not necessary." And
I love that. And I'm going to be the one that needs to be told that, but I do love that.
And it's a great flip in the third one, and you need to watch it, but she uses it on Sherlock. And so what we have found is I'm hearing Bethany say this a lot to our kids lately.
No, I haven't.
I've heard you say this twice.
People are going to be worried about me.
No, of just being like, you know what? You're emotional right now, and it's just not necessary. It's just not something to be emotional about.
Just a little asterisk for this moment. I do think emotions are...
Emotions are fine.
I think they're fine.
Yes.
I think they're indicators of other things.
Yes, and they're alarms.
Yeah, they're really good to be like... But yeah, we can learn to be emotional about the wrong things, though.
Yes.
And so I think that is where, it's more of like a cue phrase, not like, not being like tacky and be like, stop crying, but more of like, hey, slow down. It's not necessary to get so ramped up. Like, we need to understand the situation better.
Husbands, do not say this to your wife.
You're being emotional right now, Bethany, and it's not necessary. Yeah, we'll see how well that goes over.
Husbands, do not say this to your wife.
Hey, you know what, though? What is an emotion that you display that I might say that to?
Either being late. I get frustrated being late.
The emotion that you have, though.
Yeah.
Would be frustration.
Yeah, frustration.
Okay.
I'm just thinking about certain instances.
I'm talking about the emotion you show. Because we show emotion very different. Justin, I would guess you would say you don't think yourself an emotional person.
Like impatience? Like not being patient?
Yeah, I think just like irritated.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's when I would probably say that to you.
Oh, of course.
But I don't know that you would interpret what I'm saying as that you're being emotional. I'm wondering if that's like that for other guys. Like,
oh yeah, I'm totally being emotional.
Yeah, like anger,
with kids, of like
anger, or frustration, or irritation is an emotion, but that's normally not what we say is being emotional. Mm-hmm. Like, we would normally say someone's emotional by crying or pitching a fit or whatever. But the same is true if you get like anything that's kind of blowing something up out of proportion.
Well, pitching a fit, it falls into many different types of emotions.
Anger. Anyways, that would be...
The fit just looks differently.
Yeah. I probably would be like, my emotion would probably be like, if I just get ramped up about something. Like just, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like blowing it out of proportion. Irrational.
Oh.
If I start getting like irrational and I know women have probably more of a tendency to do that where it's like we're already making up a story.
Bethany, you're being irrational and it's not necessary.
Justin, you're being angry. Yeah, we'll let you know how that goes over in our home if those things come out of our mouths. No, but ultimately it is about helping build healthier response habits, because the goal would be, whether it's for me or Justin or our family or hopefully anybody that we lead, is to serve people well, to understand a situation, to listen well. And so by helping each other navigate those things, you're preparing your future self for higher intense moments where someone is being super emotional and you're not getting revved up. Those are really good. I've noticed situations where I've built habits in that area And if I'm consistently putting those habits in that bucket and practicing that, then whenever these like hot moments happen where someone's revved up and you could match that and then blow things up even more, it's very satisfying to be able to be calm. And I actually did comment on the ref that was between England and Mexico, and he displayed this really well because he was in the craziest environment there in Mexico City. Right? That's what they were playing. Yeah. And then obviously their team is down. They were a pretty emotional team. I mean, so much going on. And this guy he didn't look moved really. I mean, he looked like he used his emotions really well when he needed to keep the game in order. But he didn't look like, sometimes these refs, they lose it too. Yeah. And you never saw that. So that was pretty impressive to me because that's a lot. Like I can't imagine being in that scenario. No. I'm just remembering last story and we'll wrap up. We lived in Austin, Texas, and I was at an HEB parking lot and I was working on some emotional like maturity and skills. And I accidentally backed in. Me and somebody else were backing up out of our parking spots at the same time. And I got out of the car and this girl was like, I don't remember what she even said, but her gestures and her comments were not good. So obviously I knew this is not, and immediately, I mean, you feel like you have to defend yourself, but I can't remember what I said, but I just kept the tone of voice that I had. And I just said something really calm. Like, I don't know, like, do you have your insurance card? Or I don't know what it was, but it was something that I kind of shocked myself that I was so calm. And then that de-escalated her. And then we were able to like talk it out. But if I had come in hot and met her frustration with that, then obviously it could have blown up into something that was even maybe not safe.
I feel like I'm better with that with other people. Yeah. But man, my kids, I feel like I'm not the best example at times. There are times where I'm like, oh, that was a win. That was a parenting win. Good job, Dad. And then I see things that they do and I go, oh gosh, I've done that.
Oh yeah. Do you have an example?
That's why they respond that way, or that's why they have a tone that way. And that's why they get frustrated because I'm the idiot that produced that in them. Like, it's...
But those are questions as we're talking about parents, but as leaders in general, that all through the years, I mean, I think of an instance with FCA years ago, we were able to do so much more with leadership team. And there was a situation that really got me fired up that of some feedback we received. And I was young too. So it's like, you know, I'm learning, whatever. I've hopefully grown in how I can handle feedback now. But at that point, it was still pretty tough because I was like, proud of what we were doing, blah, blah, blah. And so I get this feedback and it was pretty like challenging on our leadership. But it made at some point, some kind of clear thought got through to my brain as I was, being irrational. And some kind of clear thought got through and it was like, yeah, but how much have you really prepared them or taught them? Like you're actually expecting them to know certain things that you already know, but you really haven't taught and put into the material that you're using. So you're expecting them to respond a certain way, or to engage with leading people a certain way, but you're not teaching them those things. And so that we changed a lot after that year. I realized we were going to have values and we're going to have expectations that we communicate and like all this stuff. And it really helped shape like our leadership from then on out. But it's helped shape me personally because I mean, even this applied yesterday. I'm trying to get the kids to do some different things. And yesterday Abby cooked dinner and she wanted to cook chicken spaghetti. And so I was like, okay, well, here's the rotisserie chicken. You got to peel the skin off the chicken. And she was like, how do you do that? I was like, just go for it. I left the room, but then I came back and I was like, hey, do you need help with that? And she was actually like figuring it out, but there was some areas she wasn't sure about. So I like helped her. But then there was other things about like getting the pan out of the oven. And if you've used the stove and it's a glass pan, you don't want to put the glass pan on the stove after this is hot because it'll crack and, stuff like this where I think sometimes it's good when people can just like, there's a skill built when you're just like, just figure it out. But there's also that like coming alongside, like, what am I putting in? I have this expectation, but really have I helped them know how to achieve that or accomplish that? And that has stayed with me since that instance that was probably 2012 or so.
Feedback will do that. Good feedback.
Yeah. I mean, it was very hard to receive.
It's not easy.
because I was very prideful about like what job I thought that we had done, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so, but it helps have healthy expectations for yourself and other people when you're like, well, if I'm not teaching them that, then that's not fair. And I think that it goes into coaching, any area of leadership. And, you know, it's like, what are you putting in to help them get that out? And I think that's been something that's fueled me in this space with FCA through the years. And my experience with sports specifically is just how repeatedly athletes are told, like, somebody needs to step up and lead. And it would always frustrate me because I would have the desire to do that, but I didn't necessarily know how, you know? And so helping people, I love getting to observe coaches do this now, because that is an area that has really grown over the past 10, 20 years, or coaches that have the relational and emotional ability to do that. And it's very cool to watch coaches get out there and model what they're wanting from their athletes, because that was something that was a challenge for me. Things felt elusive. It was like, you're describing something that I don't have a picture for, but now coaches are stepping into that space, giving these kids pictures of what it is that they're expecting. And that's super helpful.
Mm-hmm. That is great to see. It's nice when you have a coach like Patty Gasso in an interview and they're like, man, what's the thing for this team? Like, what's your goal for this team this year? And da-da-da. And she's just like, I just want to learn how to love these girls the best that I can. Mm-hmm. That's what I get to do every year. Learn how to love this team the best this year. And to get to know our girls individually and love them the way they need to be loved. Mm-hmm. Dang.
But, you know, that's the value of good habits.
Yeah.
Is that you can be teaching people and showing people stuff without even having to be super intentional. It's just the way that you're living your life, you know? And I've noticed that people will even think, not that you're trying to trick people, but if you're consistent enough in what you do and what's important to you, you might miss days, you might have seasons where you don't do it, but how people perceive who you are is based on the consistency of the habits that they've seen in your life. Mm-hmm. And so that's their perception of you. Is like, oh, you're all about blah, blah, blah. And I can feel like I'm failing at that, but they've seen it enough consistently in your life. So like your example of saying with the kids, it's like, yeah, but I've done that before. Well, it works the same for like positive habits too. Yeah. You know, like when they see how you handle a variety of things, it's like they're learning those skills too. So anyways, all for, you know, building all those good habits that compound day after day after day.
30%.
30%. 70% can be bad. Hey, we're going back to this theory about like, is it random? Like, are we predictable in our habits? Like these penalty kicks? I hope we are. I hope we are a little bit more. I hope we are predictable. But anyways, maybe a closing challenge today can be to choose one habit and do it every day this week. Little fun thing, whatever that may be.
Make your bed.
Make your bed. Eat a piece of fruit.
Walk the dog. Eat a piece of fruit. Put a veggie in your mouth for one time.
For one time. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, we have enjoyed the conversation. I hope that it has produced something positive for you on the other end. We'll have more voices at the table in the coming weeks. But as always, thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to the Created to Be podcast. To learn more about Mississippi State FCA, visit www.msufca.org and follow us on Instagram at HailStateFCA_. And check out our new Instagram for podcast content at Created to Be Podcast. If you would like to become a financial partner, visit www.fca.org/donate to sow into the work God is doing through FCA at Mississippi State.